Hey everybody, welcome back to Michael Clarida Arts. This morning we're going to be starting our day with a warm-up, as noted in the thumbnail, and we will be drawing one of my favorite characters ever, especially out of the Fab Five from Disney. We're going to be doing Donald Duck. Let's get started. And just to recap, we are, of course, doing cartoon characters, not doggies. We started out with Mickey Mouse, did some Mickeys, moved on to Phineas and Ferb, as well as Perry the Platypus. Then we moved on to Pluto. You guys know that I love Pluto. He's one of my favorite characters from the Fab Five. Not my fave, but one of. Then we moved on to Eeyore. He's such a cutie. Eeyore, and then we ran out of paper. I guess we stopped. No. We move on to a new sketchbook that I had in my archive, and it's a big boy. It's white. Oh my gosh, it about blinded my face. But this will give you good contrast. So, why do I like to draw Donald Duck? First of all, Donald is one of my faves. He was one of the first characters that I really kind of latched onto when I started drawing. And the reason why is because I just thought he was so outside of the norm of what Disney was doing at the particular time that I started drawing, that I was like, I just love, he's a sailor. He's a sailor man. Not man. He's a sailor. But what I really liked about him, and some of you will probably understand why, is because he had attitude. What I watched a documentary recently on how Walt Disney changed the world. And one could argue, yeah, he changed the world for the worse. Look at what he did. All the entertainment and all the other garbage that comes out of the mouse. And that would be a negative. And we're not interested in that. You have your opinion and you're entitled to it. But for me, let's go ahead. For me, I like the nostalgic memories that I have of Donald Duck. And he had such attitude. Oh, the temper tantrum. And I could really identify with temper tantrums because as a youngster, I think everything bothered me. From my clothes to textures of food to if I didn't get my way. I can't even fathom what my mom must have thought and my dad. What he must have thought. I mean, I was a handful. I was the third child. And one could argue, oh, third child, baby. Yeah, my mom, by the time she had number 3, I don't want to say she gave up trying to control and trying to do things, but I did not have a curfew. My mom basically, she medicated me with sugar and love. And that sufficed for a while. Then later it was money. She was the master enabler. Mom, I need $20. I ran out of money. Oh, okay. No argue. Just give me the money. Not, well, what are you going to give me? Or any of that. And basically, she was probably my biggest advocate whenever it came to doing this. She always said, if you want to do something, you can. And I think to some degree that's true, but I didn't have a lot of the things that I needed, the tools, like a good work ethic and stuff like that. And ended up my dad teaching me a lot of that. So it was with much chagrin that eventually she kind of had to say, well, I tried my best. And I eventually left, because that's what a lot of times that's what boys do. They leave. And I was always her baby. But man, did I throw fits. Oh my gosh. I was a fit thrower. Throwing myself down on the ground. I don't remember doing any of it. A couple times I do. Because I didn't get my way. Of course, that type of behavior does not bode well for an adult. So the first time I tried that with my wife, I didn't get what I wanted. And I threw myself down on the ground and I was banging stuff. I'm just kidding. I didn't do any of that. But it just goes to show you some of that behavior just never goes away. And sometimes even now, whenever I don't get what I quote unquote want, or things don't go my way, I have to really fight that urge to get upset. Because getting upset solves nothing. I'm of course an adult now. But I still love Donald Duck. What I'm doing now is just making those anchor points, getting those anchors. Anchors being the correct proportion for his hat. It comes around here. He's got a nice thing right there. So yeah, Donald. Donald, of course, being, like I mentioned before, the Fab Five. That is what is the nickname for the kind of the original 5 characters that Disney put out. So you have Mickey, you have Minnie, you have Donald, you have Goofy, and you have Pluto. That's the Fab Five. Later on, they added Daisy, because that's his woman. Of course, talking about Donald's lady. Yeah. And she's nice. I mean, blah, blah, blah. I mean, she's okay. I was never a huge fan of Daisy. I was always interested in the originals. But she's there. Okay, so we're shoring up this hand. I'll just make a notification here of the hand. And then you've got that finger that comes up. Okay, comes around. Get that thumb. And that finger comes here. A little bit longer here. Here. Nice. And the finger. So when I was, like I had mentioned before, I think I mentioned this either yesterday or the day before, when I had the opportunity to work over at Disney, I was always just enamored. I was enamored because obviously I had the opportunity to be in a place that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to be in, which is kind of behind the scenes. And I got to be with people that do this kind of thing daily. And I remember attending a kind of a training session on how to draw Donald Duck. And it was just wonderful because the simplification of these characters is key. You want to have, because I can sit here and I can toil and add details as needed, but it's the core, the circle, the bean shape, the little twist of the tail feathers, right? Some of the ruffles. But yeah, it's the core that you always need to keep going back to. Comes down. Because that is where, here, that is basically where you'll always be able to land correctly being on model. You can add details and correct as needed, but if your core is off, then you just got a little bit of a problem. Now I'm drawing the Donald that's a little bit older because I like some of the older stuff. As you're going to see, I'm going to add the little buttons on his shirt. Now in the latest and greatest iteration of Mickey Mouse, from the Mickey Mouse shorts on Disney Plus, they did use the older kind of design iteration of Mickey, the pie eye, and Donald does have the buttons. I like this particular version of Donald, again, because he reminds me of my childhood. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this. I need to know where this is right here to really gauge where the inner part of the armpit is, because I need to have those kind of on the same locale in terms of anatomy. We're putting this in right here, and this goes up and this comes around, because he's got kind of a bean shape, but it comes around and it's circular right here. So it kind of goes up, comes around, and then this goes up like this. Again, looking at this and I'm thinking, man, when they animate this character, the difficulties involved in all of the idiosyncrasies like the clothes and movement and the sleeve. But whenever you animate something like this, you are putting in some details, but you're really focusing on the weight, the action, the attitude, and then you have the cleanup crew come in and they add a lot of the details and keep things really on model. If you look at some of the early animations from someone, I think I'd mentioned him yesterday, like Glenn Keane, and whenever you look at the drawing itself, it looks like a mess. And I remember some of the animations that I did when I was at school, that was one of the key things that the teachers would always say. Don't focus on the details as an animator. Focus on the attitude, focus on the proportions, and the main focus is the character of what you're trying to animate. And you'll have people that'll come and they will take care of all of the things that you don't get to. So it saves time whenever you compartmentalize the jobs. So it is important that you realize that. I, of course, am doing all of it right now, just to show you that it is possible that you can draw stuff like this. You can do it. It is not impossible. There is a methodology to this. That brow is a little bit too big. And it takes effort and practice. And you can get it. Yeah, okay. So we need to push this down. Make sure that the leg isn't too thick. It comes here. And we've got these tufts of fur. Feathers. He's not furry, he's feathery. That shirt comes around. We won't be able to see the other part of the shirt, but I like drawing through because it's important for me. Okay. He's got 1, 2. So let's go ahead and do this. Two. And then we'll draw the other one. Again, tapers towards the body just slightly. I need to watch my... Comes here. Basically the top of this comes. I'm going to go ahead and draw the part of his feet. Here. It comes around. Again, drawing through is something that I do to help me with proportions. My pencil is dying. Let's do this. Okay, that gives me a little bit more. And that way, sorry about the sound. Sorry. Now I can put in some of the details that make Donald a sailor. Shoring up, tying down some of those. Kind of comes in a little bit. Actually, it comes out like that. Good. And two, it's important to kind of know where all these go. Yeah. This, of course, is, for those of you who don't know, this is Donald. Donald Duck. Attitude, temper. I remember one of the shirts at Disney they did, it said, had a big picture of Donald and he was ticked, woo! And it said the original Angry Bird. And I'm like, yup. I remember that. His fits. So, this is my first drawing of the morning. And it is of Donald Duck. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, moving on to the next one. Clean. All right. Adjust my lights so you can see a little bit better. I can change the tone on this light. I think I can. That's more natural. Okay, so drawing Donald Duck today. I definitely am one to recognize my shortcomings with regards to what I do, who I am. But Donald, on the other hand, his solutions are a little less humble. One of my favorite all-time cartoons, and I'm even laughing thinking about it. If you've never seen it, definitely look on Disney Plus because it's there. Oh my gosh, there's a Donald episode, and it had to do with pancakes. And all Donald wanted to do was make some pancakes. And oh my gosh, he was listening to somebody on the radio. And of course, Donald's life is a little chaotic. I'll be honest with you, his life is very chaotic. It reminded me a lot, like I said, I identified with him. Because whenever you're working on something, and things don't work out the way you want them to, sometimes there's a propensity to get ticked. And that's exactly what Donald does. He just gets mad. Anyway, so yeah, that particular episode, oh my gosh, nothing was going right, and he ended up putting glue into the pancake mix. Oh my gosh, you guys, the insanity that ensued. And it was like the pancake mix had a life of its own. Oh my gosh, it was hilarious. So what I'm doing right now is, again, I'm putting in that kind of that roadmap of Donald's body. And I need an anchor. I need an anchor to go from. And for me, that anchor is the head. If I've worked out the head, I can keep referring back to it. And you'll see me do that a lot. I don't think the bill's long enough. Once I have the proportions correct on the head, and this is the same really for pretty much everything I do. If I've got, yeah, see, it's too pointy. It needs to come back. There we go. If I get the head right, then I can kind of move around and get some of the other stuff correct. So when dealing in 3/4 view, which is what this is going to be, a lot of the older animated features were side scrollers. So you would see the background move like this, and the animated characters would plot right along, and they would be in side view or 3/4 view. And when you deal in 3/4 view, it can be challenging for sure. Just be patient with yourself and think of a basketball. That's what kind of helped me. Having that basketball mentality and thinking, okay, this is a round form. I've kind of build on it. So you'll see me a lot of times I'll put lattice lines or construction lines in that help me identify where stuff is. Some people don't have to do that. I do. Because I'm just not good enough to envision some of those things without it. I draw them light, obviously. But I do them nonetheless. And it helps me, again, find out where stuff goes. I think that, well, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do this. Got that one right there because his brow's really furrowed. Because he's in PO mode. ahead and check this right here. Go around. Kind of come down with that. This kind of comes out, down, and you see the other side of the cheek right here. Again, having that eye kind of pop out a little bit. You see just a skosh of his pupil, and then go ahead and work in that other pupil. Good. Now we come around, try that other top of the brow, and then his hair, since he's in worked up mode, is a little frilled. So we're going to go ahead and have that come around. Have that eye kind of come around here, a little exaggerated, and have this come up. Okay, so now I can really start fleshing out the rest of him, and instead of focusing on one area, you'll see me hop around a lot. Okay. That hand come up right here. It's a big shape. Have this arm. Making sure these two shapes are relatively similar in size. And then I've got the outfit right there. Okay. There's his sailor. Why does he have a bow? Oh, it's a tie. So a sailor tie. Okay. Yeah, I keep... So for me, what I do, when I can't figure out one area, like I'm having problems right here, okay? I haven't fleshed out the rest, so I can't really gauge on where stuff is, and I'm having issues. So you'll see me plot. I'll go around, I'll come work over here for a minute, and then I'll come back, and then I'll kind of, because I know if I stay in one area, there is a potential for me to pull a Donald. What does that mean? That means that I would get mad. And I don't like being mad. I don't like doing Donald, because I know that I see something, and yet my hands, they just don't follow what I want. Again, trying to reconfirm and affirm where stuff is, anatomically speaking, is a challenge, and especially in this particular pose, it is a challenge. And we'll go ahead and have this come around. And just got the shoulder right here. And it kind of fans out, so you have this top part which is really straight. And this, of course, is part of his cuff of his outfit, so I'm going to go ahead and draw that in. And then it kind of comes around. See how it tapers back towards the shoulder? But it's a little bit more than that, because he's moving his entire arm forward like this, so that's going to affect, it'll be straight here, and then you'll have a little bit of curve at the end because there is a little bit of slack. Like this. So keep that in mind. And then coming up here, things kind of interfere with his face plane, so we're going to have to be careful on where stuff goes. Okay. And we'll angle it up because it goes like this, and it angles up because he's like, yes! Yeah, that other finger. Okay, and it comes right here. You got that thumb. Comes up. So drawing to me, and I think I've said this before, and this will be part of my tutorials that I'm currently working on. Unfortunately, life sometimes gets in the way of one's endeavors. Drawing is a first of all a wonderful thing. Okay, it is a challenging thing for me. I know for some people it's like second nature. For me, it's challenging. Going down. Yeah. But drawing in and of itself is observation. Okay? It is observation of what you're looking at and making small decisions as you build. And as you build, you're trying to create something that resembles A, what you're looking at, or B, what you're thinking about. Where the problem really comes in is your brain. Because you think you know how something looks, and then whenever you try and execute it onto paper or whatever you're trying to do, sculpture, your brain starts kind of messing with you. And it's just one of those things where you really have to say, no, this is what it looks like, this is how I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to get frustrated. I'm not going to pull a Donald. Yeah. Okay, so now we come here. And we got that thumb that comes really forward. But it's kind of, it's like this. Because his arm comes down, you got to think, comes here, comes through. And then it comes down, because that's the outside of his hand. But my brain is constantly fighting my hand. Oh my gosh, I know, and especially in the morning. That's why I do a warm-up, because it kind of alleviates and gets rid of a lot of the gray matter that comes and gets in the way of my creative process. Now, creativity is different, and then a lot of people don't really understand this. Creativity is different from being able to draw. So drawing to me is a skill that is practiced, but being creative takes investment. It takes investment in yourself. I mean, reading books, having experiences, going places, building that visual and emotional library to be able to put into your work and your art things that are familiar to you and you want to express. If I've never seen a cow before and I've only seen pictures of one, it doesn't give me an accurate understanding of the size of cows. They are enormous and they're very powerful, and I wouldn't be able to know that unless I went out and saw a cow. So basically what my encouragement is if you've been in the studio for a long time and you feel like you're lost, oh, I'm lost, I don't know what to do, I encourage you to get out and experience some life. Because you only live a short amount of time here on this planet, and you've only got a little bit of time. Some people only get into their 20s, some people only get into their 30s, some people only get into their 50s and 60s, and then they're gone. My dad, who is 91, he is a mechanical genius, worked as an electrician all of his life, helped build Disney World. He was an electrician, so he actually was one of the electricians that wired the castle. He wired the Haunted Mansion. He wired and put up a lot of the original twinkle lights in the parks that were in the trees. In addition, he was one of the primary electricians at the Swan Hotel. And he's lived a long life. He's done a lot of really incredible things. Goes up higher. Right here. And he's in the last stages of his life. And that is one of the things that I actually saw over the weekend. We had some hard decisions to make, and that's where I was. He's still alive, thank goodness, and I got to talk with him. But that might change in short order. But what an incredible life to be able to live into your 90s and to see so much life. So I definitely encourage you to get out and experience some life. It's not all about stuff. And you know, it's so funny because later on in life, you don't realize this. You don't realize any of that. You want a new car, you want a new phone, want new clothes, you want a really cool piece of jewelry. I don't know. Whatever you like, whatever your shtick is. And like new cars. I remember walking through junkyards, because I'm a car guy, and walking around and seeing a lot of these cars that were once people's dreams. I want a blah blah blah. I want a Corvette. I want this. I want that. And here they were in a junkyard. Or all the sacrifices made to make that car payment. And there's nothing wrong with a car payment. I've got a car payment. But car payment doesn't have me. We don't leverage our lives for something. But yeah, all of them will end up in the salvage yard. Your phone that you pay $1,300, $1,400 for, that becomes part of your life. You spend tons of time with it. After 3 years, the newness is worn off, and you go out and replace it. You don't really see things like that until you're got a little bit of wisdom in you. And that's not grizzledness. Wisdom has to do with experience. It's different than intelligence. As the same as a skill is different than creativity. Creativity takes effort. You have to really sow into that creative side of you, those juices that flow inside of you. You have to find your creative voice. And that comes through time, reading, time spent, time experiencing. Yeah. As you see, just by talking through it, I was able to make it happen. Let's go ahead and we're going to, his arm right there, kind of out. And shore up that area right there. I can't do a Donald Duck impression like I can Mickey. Unfortunately, because I've always tried. I've met people who have that ability, and I envy them because I love Donald Duck so much. Yeah, I did not have the tools to create that voice. I actually always thought that I was going to be a voice actor in some capacity, because I do have a lot of voices that roam around in my head. And since I was a singer in college, I did a lot of singing and voice presentation, and I really love voice. Gotta have his hat, guys. He thought that I forgot his hat. I did not. Yeah. Go out and experience some life. I really had a time to reflect because I had 20 hours of driving over the weekend, which was... actually, it was more like 30 because of all the traveling I had to do when I was there. And yeah, having that moment when you realize those people around you might not always be around you. So definitely go and hug your kids, hug your dad, hug your mom, and just take a moment. Deadlines happen. They will always be there. Find what works for you, and definitely stick with what works for you, especially in the context of creativity. This, of course, is Donald Duck morning, and this is number 2. On to our last drawing. Got to make sure my pencil is sharp. To review, before we go on to our last drawing, we've done Donald in his classic pose. How you doing? I'm nice. Of course, Donald in his angry frustration rage monster era, which is mess with me and I will pound you. Also, Donald Duck. And finally, we will come to the end of today's session, which will be kind of somber. We're gonna hit all 3 of them: happy, rage, and somber. Okay, so one of the things that they don't tell you in college, this is gonna be a wisdom moment. I'm just kidding. But one of the things they don't tell you in college is, and I think this is something that, of course, I mentioned, because I'm one of those people that kind of likes to dig deeper, is the fact that when you're an artist and you're doing stuff like this for large companies and so on and so forth, or just doing this as fun. Now, let's say you're doing it for fun, the pressure isn't on. But when you're doing it for money, and really you're trying to execute things in such a way that caters to your clients, or you're trying to sell things or whatever, there is a time variable. And I always thought, oh, I'm going to have all the time in the world to do this stuff. But there isn't. There are windows of time, and you as a professional, or as somebody who is trying to do this in a capacity where you actually try and make a living. Now, if you're doing it for fun, you have all the time in the world. You can spend 25 hours on a piece. And I encourage that. I encourage the long game. Nothing wrong with the long game. I do the long game. I've got like 5 illustrations that I'm working on currently. Easily 5, maybe even more. And this is in addition to this, in addition to my work, that I work on. I work on a little bit here. I work on a little bit there. I do things. I do character designs. I work on projects. I have my own thing. And that's important. But one of the things that they don't tell you is you're going to be doing this by yourself. that means basically I'm the one that's drawing Donald today. Nobody's helping me. Other than the reference. Reference helps. But no one is helping me. And if you're one of those people that needs validation all the time, oh, you're so good and talented, oh, then being a professional is going to be hard for you, because you are a tool, and a tool to help get things done, typically for other people or corporations that want to use your talent and your abilities for their own monetary gain. Now, do they exchange? Is there a quid pro quo? Yes. Of course there is. They pay you just like any other job. But I was not really educated on the fact that this is a very alone job. Now, if you're in an art department, God bless you. Enjoy it. Because once you step out of said art department and you don't have your blankie, per se, then you're going to be on your own. And sometimes being on your own is good for some people. It's good for me because I like being alone in some capacity, but by the end of the day, I'm ready to be around my family. I'm ready to experience my children. I'm ready. But for a long time, I did things, it was hard. And that's just something you deal with. Because nobody else is going to draw your picture for you. You know, and if you're using AI, then shame on you. You're not helping anybody, especially yourself, if you ever use AI in any way. Well, I just use it to get the base down. Well, then you've shortchanged yourself. That's just like getting somebody else to do your work for you. So I say no to AI. Okay. Let's go ahead and get his hat on him. I'll go ahead and position this correctly. Top of his head comes around. And then it goes like this. Again, I'm getting that foundation in. You see I've already roughed in some of that area right there. Let's go ahead and get his hat. I'm just got a big circle. Big circle. So yep. Okay. Come around. Gotta have, let's kind of break that plane of the face right there. You see I've roughed in where his beak is going to be. Bill, beak, whatever. Bill. Okay. Let's go ahead and come down. Okay. And I'll have this line come here, and it comes around, and then that kind of tells me where it comes around. And again, I keep referencing other areas of the face to really tell me where stuff goes. It has a little bit of a curve right there. Okay. Here's his hat here. And then it's got a, his hat kind of sits on his head. It doesn't really just encase his head. Gotta watch the height though. Gotta be careful of the height. He's got these tufts that come around here. Because after all, he is a duck. Ducks have feathers, which will include some tufts here and there. And then you've got this hat. Comes up. Comes down. And then it kind of fans out like that. Again, determining this line comes around here is going to determine where it kind of comes out right here. Okay. And we've got this right here. Nice. Okay, now I can go ahead and position his body, because his arms are going to be challenged, because his arms wrap around, his hands wrap around his face a little bit, because his hands come here and then they... Having an anchor point is really key of where stuff needs to go. Okay, that goes here. The rest of the hand comes out. There's nothing wrong with erasing. You don't see me ever erase because I like seeing where I've been, and since I draw so light, typically I don't have to erase. Do I erase? Yes. I erase a lot. But in this context, and what I'm doing here, I want you to see where I'm at and where I've been. That's important. So here's his line, center line comes here, his neck is all the way over here. It comes really down right here. And his other hand is right here. And it's okay to draw just a shape to start, just realizing that you're going to flesh in those areas in just a moment. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Now, see, right now, it's the weight. I'm not getting the weight, because I haven't put things in an area. Okay, and like these fingers, I need to go ahead and shape them a little bit different because they're turned. And this comes here, and this goes right here, and that pinky. Really, that pinky is where the top of the hand is, right here. And the bottom, neck, bottom, right there. Okay, so we're going to draw this. Go ahead and draw cuff. Cuff's important. Again, gravity affects things on us as well as the characters we do, so we need to think about that. We kind of messed that up right there, so I'm going to go ahead and make that into the bow tie, if you don't mind. Yeah. And we got that goes up in there. And that's good. I'm going to have his shoulder come around there, and that hand goes down straight, and then you've got the cuff that goes and wraps around there. It kind of fans out a little bit. I say fan out, but tapers out. Okay, now I got to compare and contrast these two because they kind of have to be on the same area. Okay, this comes down, and it kind of comes out like that and up, because that's his shoulder, but then I've got his Okay, that comes out and then it comes down like that. Yeah. That literally comes around and out like that. There we go. And his belly comes kind of out like this. And then he's got his waistcoat, his shirt. Again, since this is a round form, actually it comes down a little bit further. That bow tie, and then it comes like that. Here. Struggling, if you can't tell. Okay. That coat comes way down. I mean, it's down much further than you think. Comes down here and it wraps around. It comes up, and here's his shoulder right here. I can't see through his arms, but I know that this comes out, and this is his tail end right here. So that coat comes around and it wraps like so. Then of course we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And now this foot, of course, was a little bit too close. That comes up, down, maybe a little bit further like that. Okay. And I typically like to draw the tip like that of his foot, and then I can draw the other areas here like this. Kind of tapers to, not a point, but it definitely tapers right there. His leg's too thick right now. So I'm going to go ahead and push that back a little bit. And we're going to make this line darker. This comes down. Good. Okay, so there's a little crease right there. This comes around. But there's kind of a debate with regards to whenever somebody sees somebody else draw, they say, "Oh, you're so talented." I think I have a very small degree of talent. We're talking tiny. I would say maybe 10% of ability that I've actually fostered and developed. And the rest of it is hard work. It's practice. It's sacrifice. It's doing a lot of the hard work that a lot of people, I think, look at and say, oh, whenever you tell them, well, I draw for 10 hours a day. Well, no, you don't draw for 10 hours a day. I don't. But you understand what I'm saying? Whenever you inject that work quotient, then people are like, oh, now I understand. But it's just work. It's hard work. It's a lot of work. That's what it is. I mean, there's no denying that there's a degree of talent, but it is so small in comparison to the work quotient that sometimes I don't like even bringing talent up, because it separates a person who can't from a person who can't. And that talent divide, you like, well, you're just talented. That's why you can do all of that. No. I don't believe that. I think that talent is a degree. Is it the end all? No, because you get somebody that works really hard and practices, and will they be, see, that's literally, you have people that are really, really good, and they've applied the same amount of work ethic to develop as somebody maybe didn't have any talent and was able to accomplish things and work. And then you have people that are extremely good. And see, whenever you have somebody that's extremely good, they've worked a lot and they've cultivated and fostered that creativity and that existing talent in them to be something incredible. So, do I think that everybody can be an artist? I think that everybody could. Degree. Artist is a subjective phrase. And obviously degrees of talent mixed with work produce different levels of artists. Do you have some people that have natural ability? Yes. They can see things in a different way. That's what makes us all unique. We're different people. Just like the characters that I have been working on, they have different attributes. Mickey is different. He's an encourager. He is the foundation. He is the level head. Goofy is the goofy. He does things that are goofy, that are obtuse. Then you have Donald. He's the emotional one. He's the emotional one. Look. He goes from happy to angry to sad in the blink of an eye. And just like every artist out there, they're all unique. So I definitely encourage you, if you're trying to develop something in your life pertaining to arts, that really you invest some of that time in yourself. Draw, sketch, sculpt, whatever it is. And at the end of your life, you can look back and say, wow, what an incredible life. Like my dad. He's had an incredible life, you guys. He worked for NASA back whenever there was the Apollo program. He got to see some of those big spaceships on the pads explode. He was there. He got to work at Disney. He's worked at nuclear plants. He's done incredible things in his life. He raised a family. He imbued me with wonderful things that I carry with me daily. He's invented things. So I encourage you to do something different today. Do something different. Be different. Different from those around you, but more different for you. You know what different is for you. Hopefully you got something from this video and are getting something from these videos, even though these videos are not performing at all. And that is a shame. But I'm getting some cool drawings out of it. Really? I guess. Alright guys, we'll see you tomorrow. I'll be drawing something else cool. I hope. Alright guys, we'll see you next time. Bye.